Peace Police Peace Militia training is not only about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or it's not only about martial arts and becoming badass. It's not only about improving your level. That's self-centeredness. Peace Police Peace Militia is about becoming a guardian for the universe, a guardian for humanity, a guardian for your neighbor, a guardian for your community, a guardian for God's blessings. You're becoming basically a superhero, becoming a guardian of the universe that God has given for us to steward and guard. And so that's the power of people in religion. We are actualizing God's most important commandments that Jesus said are the most important commandments. There are many commandments in the book, but Jesus said the most important is to love the Lord your God with all your strength, heart, might, spirit, and soul. Okay? Which means be grateful for the nation of Chanigu that has come to this world that he give us, the symbol and the image of it. Be grateful for the gifts God given to us, the sovereignty. Protect those things. And of course, love your neighbor as yourself. You love yourself enough to guard yourself. You must guard also, be able to be prepared and be skilled to defend your neighbor. So Peace Police Peace Militia, that's why we have so many, people are very many times surprised how many girls we have in our community. Of course, the Queen is setting an awesome example, and we have a group of more advanced girls who are setting a great example and becoming more and more dangerous and deadly. But they have a purpose. The reality is, fight gyms and fight dojos around the world is that there's such a tiny portion of women, probably about 5%, less than probably 5% of women. Because it's so violent, it's so aggressive, it's so testosterone based, it's so masculine, and girls just get freaked out by it because it's so violent. And they get their ass they get their ass straight beat so bad, and they never felt it, and then they just quit, right? Because they've never experienced some of that. So there's just, the girls can't handle it. They can't handle it, okay? And it's so hard to get girls to train, because if it's just about winning some medals, or if it's just about becoming badass and looking cool, well, that's a very small portion of girls that are actually going to pay to do that and go through the bruisings, the breaks, the injuries, and all that. There's so few girls that will actually go through that, almost like torment and torture, to become better, to earn it, because they're just too weak. Honestly speaking, they're just too weak. They're too spoiled. They avoid pain all the time. And they're coddled in society, told that that's okay. So they just don't have the social framework in which they're compelled to do it in free countries. So there's a very small portion of girls that are in the fighting communities. Even though that proportion is growing, it's still a very small minority in terms of girls, the general population of girls. But of course here at Sanctuary and worldwide growing, we have a huge population of girls that are training these very hard arts. Of course, I separated so that the girls can feel safe, especially if they're married, before they're married, to train with other girls instead of train with boys all the time and being in uncomfortable positions. But at some point, even the Queen stuff, I make her train with boys, because you have to know the power difference between a male and a female. There's a massive difference in power. Okay, so the girls have to train with guys at some point along their journey, because they have to feel the power of control that men have, even smaller men will have over them. And that's a very important aspect. But it's also because we have, it's not, for us, it's not only learning a certain martial art and being, quote, a martial artist. That's not the goal. We're not here to worship ourselves. We are here to become basically superheroes, all right? Not so that we can boast in ourselves, but guardians so that we can defend life. We can protect people. We can protect ourselves, our family, community, our world, our universe. And that extends, that guardianship then starts expanding, okay, as our level increases. Our desire to want to guard, safeguard things which are beautiful and that have connection with God and have value, we seek to defend, okay? And that's why we have a larger percentage of girls than other dojos, because we're not a regular dojo. This is part of our nation. It's part of our culture. It's part of God's civilization. It's part of being a human being in God's kingdom. That you have the responsibility, you have gone through hardship, you have gone through real taxing things to earn the honor that's required for you to have to be a responsible citizen, to guard your community, right? And it's tied in with sovereignty, non-federalization of the police, non-federalization of the military, so that the citizens are taking responsibility for those aspects of force and defense. Law enforcement, you name it. So that aspect is what is creating this huge community of both boys and girls that are training, which is so very, very different. And Master Jojo always comments on it all the time. He said, man, you got so many girls here. It's amazing. You know, it's because, you know, he's got daughters too. He wants them to train, but it's hard. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. It's very hard to even get your wife to train. You know what I mean? I'm basically, the Queen didn't train at all for the last 20 years until really she had a community and a context by which she could understand why even she should train. You know? And so there's a spiritual nature to our training. There's a spiritual nature, not only bring joy to Father, not only bring joy to God, but living up to the commandments God gave us. Love God, love your neighbor. Be someone who is there, who can be there for other people to defend them and to protect them. With the God-given gifts and rights that have been bestowed to us. And it's given and elucidated through the Chanigo Constitution. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us on the King's Report.